Hello, and thank you for tuning in to TNN, Tokyo National News. Today we will discuss what has been going on the past few days, locally and worldwide. Also, we have a special treat, an interview with Tokyo's very own Hideki Tojo, the Prime Minister of Japan. We also have a small interview with a pilot, Haruki Nobi, who was involved in the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which you will hear about later.
First off today on 6 o'clock news is the world news. 2 days ago, on December 19th, the fragment of the Italian Navy penetrated the port of Alexandria in Egypt. They also harmed the British battleships HMS Valiant and the Queen Elizabeth, along with a destroyer and a tanker. Because of this attack, the Egyptian Navy had lost all battleships and were defeated by the Italian Navy. Yesterday, the 20th, in the United States, Admiral Royal E. Ingersoll took over command of the Atlantic Fleet from Admiral Ernest J. King, which was the commander of the United States Navy. Also yesterday, in Western Europe, the propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels broadcasted an appeal for winter clothing for German troops that were on the Eastern Front. That is all for today's news. Now on to the national news portion of our 6 o'clock news. 2 days ago, British troops evacuated the Japanese island of Penang in Malaya. Today, the Axis powers of Japan, Germany, and Italy launched a renewed air offensive against the island of Malta. Today in Malaya, Japanese forces rafted 23 miles down the Perak River in an attempt to attack British defenses at Kuala Kangsar, but sadly they failed, and our forces' rafts were shot by British troops. Luckily though, many of the Japanese troops were able to swim to shore. Also today, our Japanese troops are returning from the bombing of Pearl Harbor. This attack strengthened nationalism in Japan as well as bringing pride to Japanese citizens. Ethnocentrism was created during this time with the belief that Japanese were superior to the West. The Prime Minister Hideki Tojo's fame also grew because of this attack. There has been some fear that the United States may take defensive measures, but that is not known for sure. The United States has declared war on Japan though. Some people love Royal Crown so much they can't stop drinking it. And for them, there's RC. RC is easy on the syrup, easy on the gas, so it's not too much. Isn't that right, OJ? Mm-hmm. For people like Olivia Janicello, who can't stop drinking cola, there's not too much syrup and it's easy on the gas.
Hey OJ, give me some of that.
Sure.
Well, now here's one of the pilots from the bombing of Pearl Harbor, Haruki Nobi. Whose idea was it to launch the attack on Pearl Harbor?
Isoroku Yamamoto originally plotted the plan on Pearl Harbor, sending out battleships and airstriking airplanes, in which I was a part of. A lot of work was put into this attack, and in my eyes it was a success.
Was it easy?
In some parts yes, in other parts no, having lost Japanese troops and planes. That was the difficult part, and the easy part was the success overall. Yes, it was easy.
How long did it take once you arrived?
Once we arrived, it took no more than 2 hours to bomb and make our point clear. Then we left. 65 Japanese were killed or wounded, only 1 Japanese captured. 29 aircraft and 5 midget submarines were lost of the 400 we had from the beginning.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how was the destruction of it all?
It was about a 6 to a 7 for the Americans.
Was it Japan's plan to surprise attack the U.S., or did it just happen?
From my understanding, we launched attacks on the United States because of the disagreement, but we planned the attacks. It just so happened that the United States were not waiting for them.
What was your job as a pilot?
I was in control of some commands and a few codes here and there.
Describe the atmosphere. What was it like?
It was different. As soon as the bombs hit, I knew it was going to start something, instead of what we intended it to, which was us to scare the Americans.
What was some of the many codes you used during the attack?
Well, one of them was Tora, 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 which translated in English means tiger, 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 which was code for when attack was coming or warning.
Were these codes secret, or did many people know about it?
Only we knew about them, and that was the point.
Well, ladies and gents, that was Haruki Nobi. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Now, for our interview with Japan's Prime Minister Hideki Tojo. Premier Tojo, your nickname Kamasori, which means the razor, how did this nickname originate?
I've been told that I get my nickname the Razor because I'm quick, decisive, and do not give up easily.
How did your dad, Hidenori Tojo, impact you?
My father impacted me greatly. I wanted to be just like him, so I followed in his footsteps and attended the Army Academy School in 1899 and then the Japanese Military Academy in 1904.
How did the death of your two older brothers impact you?
I did not really know my two older brothers due to their deaths occurring before I was born, but a lot of pressure was put on me as being the first son to survive, and my parents wanted me to do well with my academics. I also received large amounts of honor from my parents and siblings.
Could you tell us a little bit about your schooling?
I started military school early at the age of 15 at the military preparatory school in Tokyo and did horribly grade-wise my first year. After my first year, I promised myself that I would do better than the best that I could do for the rest of my life. I went to 2 more schools after that, the Central Military Preparatory School and one that was not really a school, it was the infantry, and graduated 10th in my class of 363 at the Central Military School.
What was your role in the bombing of Pearl Harbor?
I did nothing to help with the planning of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I did authorize the presenting of the document of war to the United States, though.
It has been made clear that the document of war was presented to the United States late. What was your immediate reaction to this?
I just authorized the presenting of the document. I did not give the exact time to present it. That was the foreign minister's job.
Did you learn from Togo, Nomura, or Kurisu, or anyone else, why it was that the note was not delivered prior to the attack?
I've heard that there were technical reasons that delayed the delivery of the note, including garbles in the coded text. I am deeply conscious of my responsibility for the delay of the message. Nevertheless, for the Foreign Office, at a time like this, and on a matter of this moment, to be unable to carry out an order of the government shows an extreme degree of irresponsibility.
Is it not possible that the Chief of Staff are at fault in this matter for having planned the attack too close to the time of the delivery of the note, and thus making it possible that the Emperor's wishes would not be followed?
No, it is my fault, not theirs, because I was the senior member of the Liaison Conference.
Why exactly was war declared on the United States?
The United States was not allowing Japan's presence in China. Considering Japan is in between China and the United States, it was just not fair in my eyes.
Do you, as a Japanese, feel proud of the fact that several thousand Americans were killed at Pearl Harbor in the manner?
No, I am not proud of it. I sympathize for those who died, but Japan had been challenged, and so she took justifiable self-defense.
What are your thoughts on the United States?
I want to make my thoughts on the United States clear. I think that they are lazy and incapable of becoming a strong nation.
To end our interview, I would like to ask, what are your plans for the future if you are able to make peace with the United States?
I'm hoping to eventually put half of the population of the world under Japan's control. My plans are for me to control the western half and for Emperor Hirohito to rule the eastern half.
Alright, thank you, Premier Tojo.
Thank you for tuning in to TNN, Tokyo National News. We hope to see you tomorrow. Good night.